latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Sending you guys a bit of a review video on a brand new awning from Vango. So with me here today, I've got the Vango Tuscany 400. It's also worth mentioning that they make a slightly larger size, which is the 500, and the 400/500 really refers to the overall width. So we've got a 4 meter with me here today, and also a 500. So as we go through the video, everything I'm going to mention is applicable for both models. We've actually got a really nice sort of deeper than standard depth, so it's a 325 deep. We're around about being about 265 on the edge here, so yeah, it feels quite spacious inside. It means everything, all the furniture and stuff can be a bit further away from the main caravan and give you more usable space inside. The Tuscany, even though it's been a name that's been in kind of Vango's collection for many years, it's almost been, it is a really new awning because it's been regenerated. They've almost just took the shell of the Tuscany, played with it, changed the spec and the features that we're going to go through as well, but it's kind of the design concept in terms of the way it looks is something we've seen in years gone by. What we've got here is it's situated in kind of Vango's kind of ProShield collection, so it uses their ProShield material, so it's about a 300D, really nice, and actually kind of the face fabric of it feels kind of less tenty and more kind of caravan awning material, which is something that Vango really trying to work on. Being a very probably more predominantly tent and driveway brand, the caravan market is completely separate. So they've really done kind of a lot of effort to make it seem more in keeping with kind of what caravanners expect and also what they want in many ways as well. So the 300D material is really nice, kind of thick fabric, great sort of durability in it, and sits really nicely, almost like kind of like a pastel kind of grey colour. Makes it very inoffensive and suits the caravan really quite nicely. We've obviously, as you can see, got loads of kind of crystal clear windows around the whole necessarily awning, but then you've got curtains to get the privacy as and when you want to. Lots of options with the curtains as well, which we'll go into in a bit earlier, where you can get sort of full coverage or caravan style or kind of tent like. So they really give you lots of different options. One of the big changes, of course, for the 22 season is the fact that we've now got a single point inflation system. So we've got a single point here, will inflate the whole awning up quite nice and neatly. There's only, I think, a couple of 2-3 bracer beams to put in afterwards. And we've done our own kind of Attwoolls pitching and packing video to show you how quick, simple and easy it really is to pitch. I think all in all, it took me the best part of sort of 15 minutes, 16 minutes. And in a certain extent of that, there's also a kind of a built-in skyline to it. So when you kind of take it in consideration to other models, it's around about the same kind of time in terms of the pitch time. So it's all about convenience more than anything. The thing that makes this a little bit different as well is that even though it's a single point inflation, it can be still pumped up in the configurable manner. So every single beam has its own inflation and deflation valve, but there's a separate valve located here which pumps them all up in one go. So you can really make the choice of whether you want single point inflation or go to multi-point as it already still has. I would say certainly with the single point, it's worth maybe buying an electric pump. I think you definitely notice it with a 400 and certainly with the 500, just because the sheer amount of air goes in there, and also you find it regulates it to a better pressure. So for me, I think that's quite a worthy purchase. By all means, have a go with a hand pump first, see how you get on, and go for there. And we use the kind of the hand pump for our little pitching video. We've got this really nice kind of brow canopy as well to give a little bit of shelter from the front panels, so you can drop down the sides like this and still have a bit more of a coverage, the rain's not coming directly in. And again, this is completely inflatable as well, so again suits itself really nicely. Throughout the whole of the awning, you can see we've got these really nice strong webbing straps, and they've even got little reflective tints built into them. So you've got bracing not only from the front point of view, but from the sides. And one of the things that is nice with the Vango models is it all comes included as standard. All of the panels can completely remove, and what you find actually, it now comes in 2-pack sizes, well, 2-pack bags I should say. So you have almost 1-pack bag for the main body with all the tubes, and then a separate pack size for all the side panels, things like the pump, the draft skirts, the wheel arch cover, the storm pegs, the repair kits, all of those little things come included necessarily with it. So that it goes in a separate bag, makes it more manageable, means you've got 2 smaller pack sizes, 1 big bulky one. You can store it as you want to, you know, where you see fit, but from a weight point it's a lot more manageable, and it's very primed, ready for you to feed through the rail. There's no reason you couldn't in fact feed it through the rail with all the panels in place. It does make it a bit more weighty, and that's kind of one of the considerations that Vango took that onus for you. For the pitching video itself, we've done the same processes you'd come to expect, feed the main body through, pump it up, insert the panels, peg, and then guy it out as there. Other things to mention, certainly from a front point of view, it's got a really nice kind of PVC material on the bottom, along with a mud skirt as well. What you'll find this actually is a bit more rugged, easier to clean, and kind of has a bit more kind of resilience to kind of wear and tear. Well, as you actually comes as standard, you get some rock pegs included with the actual awning, and also it's worth mentioning that the kind of canopy not only goes along the top, but you've got a bit of side there, so it's been really quite heavily thought about from the coverage from getting the wind and rain. We've got webbing points located down the bottom to get great sort of tension into it when you peg it out, and also the adjustment without repegging it completely. From the side part, we've got a nice sort of side window again, all complete with curtains, and the side panel, which kind of almost has a sort of 70-30 door scenario. The panels itself can actually be interchangeable with one another, so if you wanted to reposition the door at the front by switching the left panel with the right, you can quite happily interchange them. The panel itself, as you see, has got a big window on one side and then an entrance door from the side. From the entrance door itself, there's also a mesh panel. So we can open this up, roll this back, and quite happily clip and toggle. All of the clips now are really quite a nice kind of buckle kind of clip, so you can actually got plenty of cord, so you can get in there and tension it. It's a nice little detail that, because it means that even if you're not the best at packing things away, you know, you're never going to have a problem pretty much opening it up fully. The other thing I do also like is that you've actually got a curtain built onto that inner fly mesh. So if you want the privacy but still have a little bit of airflow through, you can zip up that internal curtain and let it come through. Ventilation is very key in these kind of awnings. They do suffer quite badly sometimes for condensation. So that's where we've got a little ventilation point at the top to certainly help circulate air and keep it a bit fresher on the inside. You could in theory use this as a gazebo, as in the one bag, removing all the panels and just having a roof and a point, and then you can just guy it out from there. I'll tell you what, let's have a little look inside the Tuscany and talk through a load more features that it has to offer. So now we're inside the awning, you can probably appreciate certainly the sheer depth you've got in here. That's the one thing you're not short of in terms of is overall internal space. 4 meters is a really ample size to put on the caravan, whether it be sort of a long wheelbase single axle or a twin axle. The 5 meters is going to be even bigger. So, you know, that's definitely one thing I don't think you'll be short for sure. And because of the kind of the design of it, it's very kind of sort of boxy in terms of the overall shape of it. Now this helps to give you sort of better internal room, and even though we've got kind of deeper depth, you can utilize that deeper depth for having furniture and stuff closer to the front of the actual awning itself. Now what I've kind of done is almost with, certainly from the window side of things, I've given you nearly every configuration you can kind of look at. So again, give you lots of versatility. We've got kind of our traditional kind of caravan style where we can have a zip that goes sort of open like so. We've got a veranda where we can actually, all the panels have essentially 4 zip runners. So you can quite happily create this kind of veranda thing, so 2 done up at the bottom and alter and go. What it also finds is actually you can roll the panels from right to left or left to right. So again, it helps you to kind of create the kind of area and sort of living space as you see fit. Alternatively, you want to just keep it all really nice and sort of zipped up, a really good coverage, and actually it really nicely shows the kind of pattern, and it's quite a nice modern pattern comparison to kind of those, in my opinion, caravan curtains that can sometimes be like shower curtains. You know, I think it's a bit more of a nice touch, a little bit classier. And then if you want to just kind of bring down the curtain halfway, you can just use the zip pullers, adjust it quite nice and neatly as you see you wanted to, and that works. Failing that, roll the curtain fully down. All of them have a little pocket located on the bottom again, so you can get plenty of light when you want to. So you can have that kind of compromise of sort of vision, but also privacy at the same time. So we've also, what we find is the curtain material will match the roof lining. So the roof lining or the skyliner comes as standard with the awning. So again, it's something you don't have to pay for. In terms of the way it fits, it's a much more thorough fit than it has been in sort of the years gone by. That's probably been one of my criticisms of them, is that they never quite worked as you wanted it to. It's now physically stitched in all the way along the back, and means you've got a really nice solid point to get torsion. Everything all clips to the front, so it's just simple clips, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 clips, bring that out directly. And then if you don't want to necessarily have it in, you can just unclip it, roll it all the way back, and there's little kind of popper ties to keep it nice and neatly there. So again, you can, it's really, I'd recommend it as it suits it nice better. Generally, it doesn't affect the headroom height because it's so boxy. I'm about 6'2", and even at the front here, are not sitting near there. It's quite a nice sort of tolerance. You've still got little kind of entry points, so if you want to use things like the bedrooms or hanging points, you can still quite happily do that, so that works quite smartly as well. The single point inflation works really well. You've got essentially like a single point come off here. It then comes up and distributes itself quite nicely through these kind of tubes. It's very clever in the way it works. It's almost got like a non-return valve, so the air can happily go in, but it's not going to put itself out. So that way it automatically segregates all of the beams from one another, so if you get an issue with one, it doesn't affect the rest of the system. And again, because you can almost do each beam individually, you can just pump that one up on its own rather than going through the single point inflation. And there's two valves on the front which will kind of bring the camera around to a little bit later just to show you. Mud wall skirts works really nicely, and there's even pegging points in that, so you can get that really nice and taut. And you've got this kind of strip going around the edge that stops you oversplaying the beams and get them sitted in about the right position without necessarily creating a trip hazard anywhere in. As we saw earlier, the side panels can be interchanged with one another to reposition the door. So when you're in a section here, you haven't got to worry about closing the caravan door before exiting through the actual awning itself. You've got a really nice sort of oversized sort of beams as well. So you've got the bigger diameter than you would normally get. So again, it gives you a bit more stability, and because everything's all kind of tied, you've got a really kind of good strength to the awning as well. In terms of sealing it to the caravan, you've also got Vango's own draft seal system. So rather than additional poles that press against it, you've got its own unique tie. We've done a separate video on draft seal system, but essentially what it is, it's a fixation point at the top, so it's stitched in. You would then feed a channel directly down into your draft skirt rail. This then creates a tension point from the top and the bottom, meaning you can almost basically apply pressure at different points. These triangle points will actually dictate how much pressure, whether you want it spiked in or flat end in along there. So as I've got it here, you can see I can apply pressure above the window, beneath the window, and then against the window. And then you've got just a little kind of skirt just to kind of keep it a little bit out of sight, so you don't have to sort of look at those straps at all times. A draft skirt and wheel arch cover comes included as standard, and draft skirt I think even has a little vent in it as well, which again is a different level to what you find with other things. And that's probably one thing I do like about this awning in a whole, is that a lot of the stuff are included for you, so you haven't got to think about a lot. The only really option you can go for is, like I say, an optional flooring, a really nice breathable floor, and it's tailor-made to the awning itself. Failing that, you can buy additional annexes that will go off the left or off the right, so it's the same annex can go on either side. So if you wanted extra storage space or the ability to sleep some extra people, you can do so. In fact, the annex looks something like this. So that gives you a bit of an idea of the annex. Other things to bear in mind as well is that you've got kind of Vango Skytrack system running along this back section here. So that gives you the ability of actually having, say, storage pockets coming directly down, and then you can maximise your internal space and put your clutter out the way. Let's pick the camera up now and kind of have a little bit more of a feel for the awning and go through a few more details up close. So now we're kind of in the awning. Like I said, you can probably appreciate a little bit more. You've got essentially what would be perfect visibility all around if I haven't got the curtains all nicely open, but you can see you've got that almost like panoramic kind of view. And this kind of more bay window kind of style front, you know, you got to get a little bit extra depth on it and appreciate a bit more of the uprights. So that curtain, well, the sky liner itself sits really nicely. Actually, it's even got additional toggle points here just to make sure its tension's there. There are bracer beams that you would insert directly in, so you can just happily pull that back when you want to insert those in place. But that little window in the corner, again, just gives you a little bit more flexibility. And you've got a tie running on the bottom of the beams, just again to make sure you don't necessarily overstretch them. We can see the vent up in the top corner, as we can see, but that extra depth then works really nicely and like I create a really great sort of kind of gazebo kind of feel to it. As we head round, we'll come to the front actually, where we can see, so we've got a normal sort of multi-point inflation, and then one beneath it which is slightly lower level. The lower level is actually lower level in relation to the rest of them, so it's quite clear that it's kind of the single point inflation rather than normal, and it's got a little kind of branding on there that says Airbeam SI Pro, which refers to their single point inflation. But it sits really quite nicely. I like the fit against the caravan, and you get a sort of a foam pad at the back also kind of included as well, so it really helps to kind of protect the caravan itself, and webbing straps all located along the bottom. So overall, I think it's a good kind of quality awning, something a bit different, and it's definitely more refined than it has been in the past. I do like it in terms of what it kind of offers, and from a price point of view, I think really actually it's quite competitive. For more information, of course, you can check the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to our website where we've got more information on, say, like the pack sizes, pack weights, floor dimensions, and all of the individual features listed there as well. But I think for me, from a value to money point of view, it ticks a lot of boxes. It comes included with, like I said, a lot of things that would normally be an optional extra. So you can almost got to factor that into the price when you're looking at this awning in comparison to, say, like a Dometic awning, you know, where pretty much nearly everything is kind of an optional extra. So with this, you get your storm straps completely around, manual pump, rock pegs, giraffe skirt, wheel arch cover, your back kind of system. You've got your obviously single point inflation, which is you get anyway. You get 10 sky hooks for your hook track kind of system, so that works as well. So you add all those things up, that could potentially be your Skyliner, for example. That could be easily about £200, £250 worth of kit that Vango would necessarily include. So it's a worthwhile consideration. But anyway, for more information, check the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to our website where we've got everything all there at a touch of a button. And always check out the pitching video and packing video that we've done on this model, showing you how sort of simple it really is to pitch. But we'd love to hear from you, see what you think. You feel free to comment in the box below. Failing that, you can always email us directly, but it's one model we'll definitely look to have on display in our indoor showroom, so you want to kind of see it in the flesh and get to grips between that and its competitor. You can always do that at our kind of base. But thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this helpful, and we hope to see you again soon.